Good afternoon, I'm Alexandra Guarin. Today I will present my teaching experience with CLIL approach. First, I want to present the school, Honorio Ángel Ylarte, that is located in Pachavita, Boyacá. This school was founded in 1973 and acquired the agricultural technical specialty in 2003. The secondary school has 123 students, more or less. This micro lesson was developed with students from 10th grade, considering that they have some subjects related to the specialty. I use medicinal plants like a content. This micro lesson had two objectives. The first one related to the content. Students will be able to identify local medicinal plants and their uses. And the second one related to language. Students will be able to write similarities and differences through the plants using the comparatives and superlatives adjectives. Okay, about the content, I involve medicinal plants like a key content language, and I involve medicinal plants, characteristics, uses, comparatives, and superlatives adjectives in general academic language. Okay, currently it's impossible to do a class face-to-face. For this reason, I used Zoom app for doing. Well, I want to continue with positive aspects. The first one, students achieved their objectives. They reviewed some examples as a guide for doing the practice exercise using cultural knowledge. In this picture, you can see some sentences that the students wrote. Each one wrote two or one author sentences using the vocabulary and the key content. Yes, superlatives and comparatives adjectives relate to the medicinal plants. On the other hand, collaborative work was very important for developing the class. They integrate content, communication, cognition, and cultural knowledge in different ways. For these activities, the students work in pairs and was a good idea because each one helped to the other partner to do the exercise, the presentations, and other activities that I planned. In this order was very positive work in pairs. The next one involved graphic material helped to understand and increase the knowledge about key content. I used flashcards and video, and this material helped to do a relation between the new knowledge and the prior knowledge. In this way, for example, the video helped to socialize the vocabulary, the characteristics of the plants, their uses, and the flashcards helped to the students identify the local plants with these pictures, yes? The idea for this exercise was that the students did the relation between the draws or the pictures with the English names of the plants. It was very useful for developing the other activities. Finally, another important aspect was the participation and the attitude of my students, because in all class they were very active. Students consider the appropriate to include other content for learning English. In this case, was different for them. Okay, consequently, there are some opportunities for improvement. First, relate to the participation. Speaking only English was very difficult for the students, because the level of one are or is basic. Yes, individual form, I didn't find the way for explain better the instructions or their content, and it was a trouble for the participations of my students in some cases. And this video shows one specific part when I tried to speak or try to ask a specific information, but my students didn't understand, and it was a problem. On the other hand, related to the explanations, I want to explain the language content related to the superlatives and comparatives. But when I try to explain in English, only English, was a problem, because my students, some of them didn't understand, and finally I had to speak in Spanish because it was impossible explained this. I think that is necessary to use better examples, but I don't know if it's necessary to use material more explicit. It's a doubt that I have. Probably the visual form is a problem, but I would like to know if it's okay that I use Spanish, for example, for explain. I have doubts about it. And finally, relate to the tools. My students use it later in many cases. For this short presentation, that was one activity, I made a mistake because I didn't assign a plant for the exposition, and they repeat the plant, they use it later, but I understand that was necessary for the level. But I felt that they lost an important part of the lesson related to the acquisition of the vocabulary, probably. Okay, in general, I think that key is a good approach, but I think that is better when you count the opportunity for explain face to face, because I feel that it's not okay in visual form, probably for the level of my students, but I want to apply with other content this approach when I come back to my students face to face. Thanks for your attention. See you. Bye bye.